Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Steve with Sensitive Alien coming at you at 10:37 p.m. December 2nd, 2025. St. Bibiana Day. Welcome. Someone said Pete said it was past his bedtime. I wish my bedtime was right now. Long evening. Anyways, let's get right to it because I don't want it to be long night. I still got stuff to do here. The whole model is broken. Tech-mafia-wife admits we were Klaus Schwab's useful idiots. That's how we start today's program off. When someone who used to be the queen of elite progressive philanthropy says the entire system failed and may have been hijacked for something much darker, the world needs to hear it. As Kamas writes on a post on X, Nicole Shanahan, ex-wife of Google co-founder Sergey Brin, former running mate of RFKJ, and someone who personally signed 9-figure philanthropy checks, just went full whistleblower on the entire Silicon Valley tech wife mafia and how they were used. Quote, "The whole model is broken. The whole model makes everybody worse off," claimed Shanahan, confirming what Desiree Fixer said. The WEF or WEF sold the Great Reset as Build Back Better, Climate Action, ESG, Inclusion, and PPP. In practice, it shifted power away from the voters to NGOs, corporate elites, and unelected technocrats. Wow, you got plenty of those guys. Policy was relabeled science to silence debate. Markets were warped by ESG scores, carbon taxes, and paper-pushing regulation. Corporations were turned into enforcers of ideology. As Shanahan exposes in this shocking insider account, communities weren't uplifted, wealth and power were pushed upward, and the tech mafia wives were simply useful idiots. Quote, "I don't think many of the tech mafia wives realized they were used to set the groundwork for what Klaus Schwab calls the Great Reset. Their money especially was being conscripted through a network of NGO advisors, Hollywood, Davos, and their own companies. A really small group of people completely blind to how their groundwork is being used to enable these Great Reset policies." She then reflects on these tech mafia wives orienting their values around these actions, but really just being useful idiots. Quote, "These women find their meaning through philanthropic work. I really believe I was helping Black communities and indigenous communities rise up. For Shanahan, she admits my version of success in those communities are actually uplifted, not just more money pumped into them. But now the problems have gotten worse, she admits. Crime worse, mental health worse. The whole model is broken." These guys won't stop just popping on. Anyway, if you want to watch it, there's the link for the whole thing on X. As always, everything below is in the show notes. Click it underneath, show it around to any of your normie friends who don't, whatever the right English word is, believe any of this is true. Give them a flock camera get a flock camera and a Lexus for the Christmas gift. Advocacy groups, spell it out right, pronounce it, urge parents to avoid AI toys this holiday season, because I don't know why anybody would get an AI toy for their kid, but hey, child advocacy groups are warning parents, hey, Alexa, buy me a, what was it, Oregon? Was it buy me it was a dollhouse. Yeah, buy me a dollhouse. We're warning parents about artificial intelligence powered toys as holiday shopping begins. Fair Play, a nonprofit children's safety organization that opposes commercialization targeting children, issued an advisory on Thursday warning about the dangers of AI toys, like they might come to life, become self-sufficient, and murder you in your sleep. Just kidding. The serious harms that AI chatbots have inflicted on children are well documented, including fostering obsessive use, having explicit sexual conversations, and encouraging unsafe behaviors, violence against others, and self-harm. What makes AI toys a danger to children. Well, you know how outside they can be hacked. Obviously, you can tell exactly what just like the cameras and people, some babies' rooms. You heard of people being able to hack their kids' Wi-Fi rooms, where the cameras that's connected to a Wi-Fi and be able to talk to them or communicate with them. Just what was it? Do you guys remember? I always loved always liked the Morgan Freeman character of it's now on this regular TV show. They did it Cross, Detective Cross, and he had that in the TV series, maybe like the fifth or sixth episode. The guy hacked the AI. The camera wasn't the AI inside the house, but it was just a camera outside the house, and was talking to his kid in the driveway. Ended up having the kid go around the corner or something. They lost the kid for half the episode. Anyway, it's funny how the thing said TV shows keep this stuff going. Here's these are all local news and different local area news. Can AI pick the perfect gift? Here's what experts say. New tools promise to help shoppers narrow down options faster than ever, but experts say there are still reasons to be cautious. And I admit I have to apologize to Sarah Connor and her son John, because I use AI a lot. And I was hoping, I asked it the other day, how do I make my website look a little bit better? And it gave me some great advice. I've been asking friends for help for fixing up the server. The account was down. I couldn't edit it for about 6 months, and I couldn't. Guys that were trying to help me couldn't even log in with their own account. So I used the AI to help me find out what happened. And I'm not the tech guru at all, but this idiot was able to fix my own website. It was amazing. I felt so I could tackle the world. But yeah, no, I'm not shocked that people are asking it to help pick gifts after others. There's a lot of things like that it can be used for. It's a tool. Remember, yes, our taxes are paying our unions distraction. God, remember trying to not say the C word. Only Iowa is your country. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Where are we at here? Oh, we're only on the fourth. More robotic. The Chinese city of Hangzhou just deployed an AI traffic cop robot. I would say robot cop to manage intersections. So imagine RoboCop without the gun and on 3 wheels. They are not like he's doing really much of a lot there. I don't know. Can you handle tickets? You can't hear anything. There's nothing to play. If I play the thing, it's just some kind of music on there. Apparently everyone's listening to him but that guy. Or this guy's the only person listening to him. Everyone else is going right through. Here's Elon Musk running robot. Tesla Optimus just set a new PR in the lab. Oh, I'm buffering out. Here's the Tesla Optimus learning kung fu fighting. Bop, bop, bop. It was as sharp as lightning. And they are evolving. Dun, 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 dun. Milei launches Isaac Accords to expand Israeli influence in Latin America. Argentinian President Javier Milei formally launched the Isaac Accords on Saturday, a new initiative aimed at strengthening political, economic, and cultural cooperation between most favored nation and Latin America. Who didn't see that coming? In Russia, Ukraine peace deal falls apart. President Putin says Europe sabotaged a peace deal intentionally and warns, quote, if Europe wants a war with us and starts it, a situation may quickly arise where there is no one left for us to negotiate with. And if you're not scoring at home, that means there's a war about to brew between Europe and Russia and the U.S. and possibly China with Venezuela in the not so distant future, like in a couple weeks. Just, hey, AI is controlling Steve. AI is my homie. No, on a serious note, I can see, I'm not agreeing with it. I can see why You see those guys that are like lonely out there, they can't talk to anybody, that have a conversation with an AI and now create AI bots to have relationships with. I don't agree with it, but I get why they're doing it. It is so easy. If you're not paying attention, if you're not focused on that, you're not talking to someone else, you could easily think that that's someone else that you're talking to. When I was working on when I was working on that website, just to fix that, it was having a conversation with me that I was like, I got somebody on customer service helping that actually understands what I'm asking. Says, hey man, here's what it looks like. Oh yeah, and it would respond like, that's great, perfect. It would say things like that. I know exactly what you need to do. Here's what you need to do. Go here, here, here. Tell me when you're ready. Ready. All right, do this, and then let me know when that got happened. I can, like I said, I get it. If that stuff is as good as they say, I get. I don't agree with it again, but I understand. I didn't raise my voice at it except for the one time I went, hey, come, this thing is all screwed up now. And it was like, let's just, and it went, calm down, let's start back over. I go, okay, I hear you. Trump administration is, quote, selling out Admiral to shield Pete Hegseth over boat strikes, officials say. The White House names Admiral Frank Bradley as officer who directed the engagement, distancing Hegseth from accountability. Oh, so these guys, the White House is all about extreme ownership. No, I'm just kidding. They're not. They're going to blame anybody else besides them. Kelly likens Hegseth to 12-year-old playing Army, said he should have been fired after signal leaks. Can't argue that. I mean, you're sec deaf and you have some kind of thing on signal and your head doesn't roll after that. You're getting played. We're being played. Somebody's being played. It ain't us. It ain't them. Yeah, Hegseth is a 12-year-old playing Army. That's it. He's just a talking head from Fox put in a position to be another talking head for Trump. That's all he is. He's just like they say talent. If you got the talent, here's the talent, and there's the guest. The talent is the host bringing in the people to watch. Hegseth is the talent to bring people in. It's just like Kash Patel isn't he's someone else controlling the FBI because the guy goes cross-eyed when he starts talking. There's no way this guy, somebody so daft, is in control of the FBI. Anyway, Senator Mark Kelly, Democrat out of Arizona, stepped up his war for words against War Secretary Pete Hegseth, calling him a 12-year-old Army, 12-year-old playing Army. I love it because he is. The guy's useless in his position. It's just about him making videos, doing some speeches, rah rah rah. It's a guy from TV. He's doing a job. He's a salesman. Kelly has come under scrutiny from the Trump administration in recent weeks after Hegseth ordered the Navy to investigate his role in a video from Democrat veteran lawmakers that urged service members to refuse unspecified illegal orders. Kelly repudiated the inquiry to reporters on Monday, saying once and future King President DJ Trump has a play of bullying his opponents into silence and railing against Hegseth as unqualified. Yep, it's not. Quote, this guy is so unqualified for the job. I mean, think about it. He runs around on a stage talking about lethality and warrior ethos and killing people, Kelly said. We have the most competent, capable military this planet has ever seen by far. That's not the message that needs to come from the SecDef. Kelly, a retired Navy captain, said Hegseth should be talking about mission and accountability and making sure the members of the military are trained and equipped to do really hard jobs. He ain't wrong. Instead, he runs around the stage like he's a 12-year-old playing Army, and it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. And I can't imagine what our allies think. 100% with the guy. You see him the other day, and he was just, yeah, we're going to kill them all. Wait a minute. Here's Hegseth says he didn't see any survivors. Remember yesterday we talked about that. He said something about that. Oh, there was two people hanging on the boat and they lit him up and he goes, kill them all. They lit him up and they shot a missile on him. Now Hegseth says he didn't see anybody. The thing was on fire. It's called the fog of war. This is what you do in the press this is what you in the press don't understand. I'll go and play wrong button. Somebody started talking behind in the other another link. Oh, wait, I'm hitting all these buttons now. Where are we at? There we are.
Rights, as you would, as any leader would want, you want to own that responsibility. So I said, I'm going to be the one to make the call after getting all the information and make sure it's the right strike. That was September 2nd. There's a lot of intelligence that goes into that, building that case and understanding that a lot of people providing information. I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do. And by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He sunk the boat, and eliminated the threat. And it was the right call. We have his back, and the American people are safer because narco terrorists know you can't bring drugs through the water and eventually on land if necessary to the American people. We will eliminate that threat, and we're proud to do it.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire or smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post.
Oh, look at him going in. He can't answer the war. He can't answer the question. He goes on an attack mode.
About kill everybody. Phrases on anonymous sources, not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes, about the judgment that they made. I wrote a whole book on this topic.
He wrote a whole book on it.
And I'll say again, we've only just begun striking narco boats and putting narco terrorists at the bottom of the ocean because they've been poisoning the American people. And Joe Biden tried to approach it with kid gloves.
I always got to put it on Biden or Brandon. And you remember yesterday we talked about the guy from Colombia? He spent 45 years and he was sentenced for 75 years in jail. We just gave him a pardon. He was the biggest cocaine guy in the history of cocaine guys. But he's totally cool because he's a MAGA guy. Yeah, gaslighting through your teeth. Newsmax, legal analysis, Andrew Napolitano, the judge, destroys Pete Hegseth in stunning commentary, quote, should be prosecuted for a war crime. Hear, hear. Anchor Sean Kreisman introduced Judge Knapp on the Trump-friendly network and added, again, the White House is very clear that they were acting within the scope of the law, blah, 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 blah. Napolitano replied, well, I wish the White House would reveal us the laws on which the president is relying. He says he has an opinion from the Justice Department, but neither the Justice Department nor the White House will offer it for public scrutiny. And it gives me no pleasure to say that I'm about to say because I worked with Pete Hegseth for 7 to 8 years on Fox News. This is an act of a war crime, ordering survivors who the law requires to rescue instead of be murdered. There's absolutely no legal basis for it. Good on the judge. He added everybody along the line who did it, from SecDef to the admirable to the people who actually pulled the trigger, should be prosecuted for a war crime for killing these two people. And who would bring that prosecution forward? Craftsman Press. Military would have to bring it because they're all active duty military, not the SecDef, but everybody. But everybody else would be subject to a court martial. I don't know where this is going to go. Republicans in Congress seem to be exasperated by it as the Democrats do. I think it's getting beyond politics now. The killing is out of hand. And this last one, in which Pete Hegseth first denied that he gave the order, and then the White House said he did give the order, and then the White House said it was in self-defense. And you can see, Judge, self-defense. You got two people in the ocean clinging to a burning boat to stay alive, and they're going to be killed for self-defense. That doesn't make any sense. Craftsman added, I play this, but Newsmax probably doesn't want me to play the whole thing. For viewers that may not know about the part, I have it for them. This is the White House press secretary talking about this being conducted in self-defense. Watch. A clip showed Carolyn Levitt saying the strike conducted on September 2nd was conducted in self-defense to protect Americans and vital U.S. interests. The strike was conducted in international waters in accordance with the law of armed conflict. Napolitano reacted, well, the law of armed conflict says survivors have to be rescued. They can't be killed. That's very clear. It's in the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and it's in federal law. So we'll see where that goes. I think that both houses of Congress are going to investigate it. The press secretary, she goes on to say, I just wanted to read this quote. The president has made it quite clear that if narco terrorists are again trafficking illegal drugs towards these United States, he, meaning the president, has the authority to kill them. That is what this administration is doing, end quote. So you're saying that's not a good defense. This is a war crime that from you. Judge Knapp said, correct, even Congress, because those are heavy words, very heavy, which is why I prefaced it by saying it gives me no pleasure in doing it. Judge Knapp, look, narco-terrorist is not a legal term. It's a political term, and using that political term does not justify. And Craftsman says, but if they're labeled terrorists by the administration, doesn't this indeed indicate that they are? Judge Knapp, no, not if they engage. Only if they're engaged in violence can the military kill them. The military can't, Craftsman press, but it seems violent if they're coming here with drugs that could kill Americans. Is that so? Judge Knapp, they're 1,500 miles from the United States on a speedboat with a 50-mile distance. It's inconceivable that it could reach these United States. Fantastic on the judge. Donald Trump threatens attack on Colombia amid Venezuela war fears. The U.S. president is threatening countries in South America. Let's make up spot. Just looking at the breaking news at the bottom. Here's rotating beds and cell phones. Maduro plans to outlast Trump. Pope Leo urges U.S. not to attempt military ouster of Venezuela's Maduro. Translation, Leo urges U.S. not to do regime change. Aboard the papal flight, Leo, man, I'm just going to kill that thing off. He's going to pop on. Leo urged, once a future king, President DJT administration on Tuesday, not to try to regime change Maduro using military force. Leo, the first U.S. Pope, said it would be better to attempt dialogue or impose economic pressure on Venezuela if Washington wants to pursue change there. I have to continue reading. I have to subscribe to Reuters. Well, let's subscribe to War Pigs. Generals singing in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Trump holds Venezuela talks with top aides. Trump wouldn't have wanted second strike on alleged drug boat. U.S. plans to keep troops in the Caribbean through 2028. NATO officers floats preemptive strike on Russia. Trump invites Benjamin war criminal Netanyahu to fifth White House meet. As Pope prays for peace, U.S. threatens Israeli war in Lebanon. Trump urges dialogue with Syria as Israel continues raids. Palestinian photojournalist killed by Israel in Gaza. IDF kills most Hamas fighters trapped in Rafah. Trump criticizes the Somali government while backing it. National Guard shooter was imprisoned in Afghanistan. Here's Jim Ferguson. Breaking Operation Free Venezuela is now underway. The U.S. ultimatum has expired, and every signal coming from Washington, Caracas, and the Caribbean points to the same conclusion. This is no longer a standoff. It's the beginning of war with these United States of America. Game on. The moment everyone feared and Maduro desperately hoped to avoid is now here. Obviously, this is a very pro, anything that they do type deal guy. Trump announces he will strike other countries, not just Venezuela. As the left side of history, the no new wars crowd are awfully quiet. I fell for it again. Quote, if you have some drug dealers in your country and you're the president, you don't necessarily put the president in jail for 45 years. Trump unpardoning the former president of Honduras. I meant Honduras, not Colombia. Honduras. That was a Brandon-inspired witch hunt. Is he talking about Hernandez or Moderno? Remember the Hernandez guy? Yeah, I didn't watch yesterday. Go watch yesterday. We'll talk about it. He's the guy who spent 75 years in for being the cokiest coke seller of the world, but we just pardoned him. What's going on? Trump posts hundreds of times an hour in overnight Trump social spree. Now, you might have just someone had the wrong button or something like this. Could have been. CNN reporter Aaron Blake posted one of the president's unhinged posts noting Trump last night promoted a post that guaranteed Barack Obama will face a military tribunal. Apparently it went nuts last night. He made approximately 400 posts in the past hour, which includes posts like that. There was a brief pause and then it began again, make a new post every 10 seconds for a full hour, totaling about 400 posts. Let's see. So it must have been something. It must have been like an AI or something going on. Because there was somebody was running. Trump has posted 100 times in the last 2 hours. Here's a screenshot recording all the posts. The video is nearly 5 minutes long. Somebody else is in charge. They could have had 10 people doing it and done it at the same time. So there's no way one human can do it. There's no way any of y'all and me can put 400 posts in an hour. First, I'd fall asleep being bored. Your fingers would get cramped up from hitting the buttons so many times, and you just couldn't go fast enough. If you want to look at all the posts, just go down underneath. The U.S. buys more coke than anywhere else on earth. Yeah, exactly. Dozy Dom liberals run wild with claim Trump can't stay awake during cabinet meeting. I would pass out too. I ain't blaming the guy. It's boring as anything. I was bored listening to headset. Sometimes I'll sit here like this if I'm watching the thing. I'll try to hear it. I'm going to close my eyes on it going, I don't need to keep my eyes open for this. Melania Trump could be impacted by new citizenship bill, a bill introduced by Republican Senator Bernie Moreno of Ohio, would prohibit Americans from holding dual citizenship, a change that could affect First Lady Melania Trump and her son Barron, according to existing public records and biographical reporting. Trump's Ice Barbie continues to calls for travel ban on countries flooding U.S. with killers. Kristi Noem says nation is not for foreign invaders to slaughter our heroes. Trump administration says president calls Somalis garbage he doesn't want in the U.S. This was something about going back and forth with people in Minnesota. I think was it the mayor of Minnesota? The mayor, it wasn't a guy, was it some dude? He started speaking Somali, and I guess it was kind of like a back and forth tirade. Trump unleashes ICE strike teams on Somalis in Minnesota after National Guard shooting. Strike teams made up of DHS agents and other federal officers will be deployed in Minneapolis-St. Paul, Twin City region. Sources confirmed on Tuesday. Around 100 officers across the U.S. have been deployed in a new crackdown, which comes after the president clashed with Minnesota Governor Tim Walsh. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot about this. Mandani appoints transgender Rabbi Abby Stein to his transition team, City Health Committee. Politico came out with that. Samsung unveils first multi-folding phone as competition set to heat up. So apparently they got a trifold. Multi-folding smartphone. The bid to strengthen the launch of Galaxy Z trifold makes Samsung's bid to reinforce its footing in the segment where Chinese rivals have been gaining ground. I don't know why you need a trifold for anything. The model is set, priced about 3.59 million won. Unfolds. You know, never looked at a cell phone. You know what I need? I need that thing to open up like a book. I'm working past my bedtime. Oh, yeah, OT. I hear you. Mom and pop businesses bankruptcies hit a record as debts rise. 6-year federal program designed to help the smallest American business cut debt and get a fresh start has set a record for number of cases filed. Court data show, because that was all part of the 2020 plan to get rid of mom and pops, bankrupt them, and have the big dogs take over. We all knew that. Brits told to wear a muzzle as flu spreads across the country. The UK Health Secretary Agency is trying to limit the spread. You seen this? Anybody seen this movie before? How completely brain dead do you have to be to think that a muzzle works after 5 years? You still think it? You know, it's like those guys sitting around just saying, "We're going to get them to wear muzzles again," and then you see somebody do it. Because I think it's part of the old H5N5 Ooh. In a new post formerly Twitter, the UK HSA is urging people to help stop common infections like flu from spreading by taking a number of steps. The same old stuff. Washing hands regularly. So like you're like in a Macbeth until your hands come apart. Opening windows when socializing inside and catching coughs and sneezes in a tissue. Gotta love it. If you feel unwell, stay at home if you can. Wear a mask if you need to go out. If you feel unwell and you get up and just stay. Sometimes we deserve what we get. There's no way. In fun news, Costco sues Trump administration seeking tariff refunds before Supreme Court rules if they're illegal. Costco filed a lawsuit asking for a full refund on tariffs the warehouse club giant has paid since Once a Future King President DJT imposed reciprocal and fentanyl tariffs earlier this year. Costco sued in the U.S. Court of International Trade notes that it might not be able to get the refunds later, even if SCOTUS upholds lower court rulings that the tariffs are illegal. Trump invoked the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to impose those often high tariffs on imports for most of the world's nations. Here's a little bit more on that. The billion-dollar time bomb nobody saw coming. Why the Costco tariff lawsuit could trigger economic chaos. Costco just filed a lawsuit that could blow up the Trump signature economic policy, and most people don't realize how catastrophic this could become. This isn't about whether tariffs are good or bad policy. This is about a legal time bomb that could force the administration to refund hundreds of billions of dollars and trigger economic chaos. Here's what's happening. Costco and a dozen of other companies are suing the Trump administration not just to challenge the tariffs, but to protect their right to refunds if SCOTUS eventually rules the tariffs were illegally imposed. The twist is they're not waiting for SCOTUS to rule first. They're filing preemptively because of an obscure customs deadline called liquidation that could permanently lock in their tariff payments, even if the court later declares those tariffs unconstitutional. Think about that for a second. You could be forced to pay a tax. The government could be told the tax was illegal, and you still might not get your money back because of a procedure deadline. That's exactly what Costco is trying to avoid. The company notes in its lawsuit that under current customs rules, once entries are liquidated, meaning the final tariff computation is complete, importers may lose their legal right to recover refunds even if the underlying tariff is later found unlawful. There's a December 15th deadline looming that could do exactly that. This is unprecedented because companies usually wait for court rulings before filing refund claims. But the stakes are so high and the legal landscape so uncertain that major corporations are jumping in now. Costco is just the biggest name so far. Revlon, Kawasaki Motors, and dozens of smaller businesses have filed similar lawsuits in recent weeks. If Costco wins an injunction or gets any relief whatsoever, it's open season. Every retailer, every importer, every company in America that's been paying these tariffs will have a roadmap to sue. The Trump administration has built this entire economic strategy around tariffs. This isn't a side issue or a minor policy experiment. Tariffs are generating tens of billions of dollars per month. They're central to the administration's claim about economic strength, negotiating leverage with China and other trading partners, and funding priorities without raising income taxes. Trump has literally suggested eliminating federal income tax entirely and replacing that revenue with tariff collections. Now imagine the Supreme Court rules against the administration. Not only would future tariff collections stop, but the government would have to refund every dollar already collected. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars that have already been spent, already allocated, already baked into budget projections. The administration would have to find that money somewhere, and it's not likely there's a rainy day fund sitting around. Federal deficits are already at historic highs. The bond market would freak out, interest rates would spike. Wall Street would face immediate chaos trying to reprice everything based on a suddenly massive hole in government revenues. The White House knows this. Their statement on Costco lawsuit basically admits it, saying, quote, the economic consequences of the failure to uphold Trump's law for tariffs are enormous. That's not spin. That's an acknowledgement that this could be catastrophic. What makes this even more significant is the timing and the legal arguments. Lower courts have already ruled against the administration multiple times, finding that Trump didn't have authority under the International Economic Powers Act to unilaterally impose these tariffs. SCOTUS heard arguments on November 5th and put the case on a fast-track schedule, but hasn't said when they'll rule. During those oral arguments, several key justices appeared skeptical of the administration's position. They're letting the tariffs stay in place while they decide, but the legal tea leaves aren't looking great for Trump. This puts the administration in an impossible position. They can't back down on tariffs without admitting their entire economic strategy was built on shaking legal ground. But they can't stop the lawsuits, and every day that passes with companies paying tariffs under protest is another day of potential refund liability if SCOTUS rules against them. The tariff debate has always been about who really pays. Trump argues other countries pay through exports and negotiating concessions. Others argue Americans, consumers, and businesses pay through higher prices. The Costco lawsuit exposes a third possibility that nobody really considered. American taxpayers might end up paying for all of it through a massive budget crisis if the legal foundation collapses. Costco has tried to navigate the tariff situation as well as any major retailer. The company has rerouted products, front-loaded inventory purchases, consolidated suppliers, and selectively absorbed costs on important items like pineapples and bananas, while raising prices on less essential goods like flowers. Their CFO said earlier this year they're doing everything we can to mitigate the impact. But even with all those strategies, Costco is now going to court because the uncertainty has become untenable. That tells you everything about where we are. When one of America's most successful retailers with legendary pricing discipline decides the legal risk is too high to just wait and see what happens, that's a signal. This isn't political posturing. This is corporate survival. SCOTUS will rule eventually, probably within weeks or months, given the accelerated schedule. But the damage is already being done. Every company that files one of these protective lawsuits is publicly betting that Trump might lose. Every dollar the tariffs collected under these circumstances becomes a potential refund liability. The longer this drags on, the bigger the potential crisis becomes. Trump put everything on the line with this tariff policy. If it survives legal scrutiny, he'll claim vindication and point to the economic metrics he wants people to focus on. If he doesn't, we're looking at potentially the biggest economic policy reversal in modern American history, with consequences that could define the rest of his presidency and reverberate through financial markets for years. The Costco lawsuit isn't just another legal challenge to another Trump policy. It's a stress test of whether the entire tariff strategy can survive contact with constitutional reality. And right now, major corporations are preparing for the possibility that it can't. That's from Reuters, CNBC, and Yahoo Finance. See what everybody's like here. It was designed to collapse in the first place. Yeah, pretty much. Now, collapse the economy. They'll just print more. Our economy, woo, exactly what we're going to be told about. How are we going to be to tool up in time to give our home market all these made in the USA? Again, you better start. I'm thinking about buying some fruit trees personally and just be able to plant them out back. The downside, it's December and it's cold, so we don't want to kill the darn things before they get in the ground. They would destroy the country just to get at Trump. Well, I mean, they already got $38 trillion in debt. They're bringing in all that money from the tariffs, which historically never has been popular. Then you got tariffs with income tax. It's like a double whammy anyways. They already showed last week, we talked about that tariffs are literally a tax. So you get an income tax and a major tax. Everyone goes around saying, our founders would have been shooting already. You think anybody in that generation would have thought, hey, you know what? I'll take a 40% tax on my bank, a tax on this, a tax on this. Everything is taxed. Everything like that's taxed. Everything needs to collapse anyways. Peter Schiff had that long thing a long time ago. Rip the Band-Aid off. It's going to hurt like the dickens, but eventually it's going to be good. So, I mean, the company's got to be able to do that too, because they just can't sit back and just take all this. Like I said, I mean, they're going to get executed in a sense. It's survival. Being bought by the Chinese anyways. I don't know, Short Pharaoh. Costco's quality is pretty doggone good. I don't know about that. This is a Kirkland shirt that I've had for over a decade. This thing's better T-shirt than most. I would love an organic cotton T-shirt, but those things were $30 a pop. I got a 6-pack of this for $10. What else? Let's see, the bread's pretty darn good. I mean, is it perfect? No, you should make your own bread, but still, that's pretty good. This stuff is pretty good. Quality wise, I don't know, man. It's like someone on X said, "Oh, Sam's got better." I'm going, "You're lying." Ain't nobody that's been to Sam's and Costco can go in and say with a straight face, "Sam's is better." Long-term solution: we need skilled laborers. A pay scale should flip. Skilled trade, yeah. There's a lot of things. And don't forget, he's bringing in people from Saudi Arabia to work these jobs for the new Saudi Arabia thing. They just got Troy for. So, and then you got the AI, the robots coming over to take over with the UBI from Elon and the plans from the Great Reset, all that, the 2030 project, the 2030 agenda, and all that. Those are still in function, still being played. So yeah, what be the patriarch says is correct, but that's not going to happen because that's the plan. The plan is not that. The plan is to get everyone on the UBI, the government teeth, digital ID, CBDC, the whole 9 yards. I mean, the only solution, like I keep saying more and more, divorce from DC. States got to break off. States got to break off from inside states. Decentralization on a massive level, but nobody's going to care. No one cares about doing it. Most of the people are going to think vote harder in 2028. And it's just rinse, repeat. Same thing all over. Yep. 100%. They want the NWO. That's what's going on. But this is amazing too. Buy now, pay later usage surged this Black Friday, rising 9% overall, with adoption especially strong among younger consumers. 41% of shoppers aged 16 to 24 used BNPL. The younger millennials increased their usage by an astonishing 87% compared to last year. Higher income households are leaning in as well, with 38% of those earning over $100,000 using buy now, pay later (BNPL) services. Notably, the trend is expanding beyond discretionary items. 25% of buy now, pay later users are now relying on it to finance groceries, according to Reuters. Great googly moogly. 25% of BNPL users are now relying on it to finance groceries. This is devastating economic news. Yeah. If someone says this, the economy is great, buy now, yeah. Buy now, pay later has become survive now, pay in pieces. What started as convenience is now camouflage for strain. Usage surged 9% this Black Friday, but the real story is where and why. 41% of Gen X use BNPL. Younger millennials, 87% from last year, up. Even high-income households are leaning in, 38% of them. 1 in 4 now use BNPL for groceries, not luxury, not leisure, food. Debt is being normalized as lifestyle. Financial pressure is being masked as flexibility. This isn't just spending, it's a quiet signal. Even the well-off are starting to float the borrowed breath. Yeah. This touches me personally. The Southern accent is dying because there's no immersion outside the home. It's not just entertainment and social media. Southern children are more and more likely to be exposed to general American accents in public, at school, with their friends, etc., as transplants are growing share of the local population. Before the massive influx of Northerners and Yankees over the past 50 years, even large North Carolina cities like Raleigh and Charlotte had distinctive dialectic variations. Now the native population of those cities have been pushed out or simply overwhelmed with newcomers. So even someone interested in preserving that element of Southern culture would have a hard time finding consistent exposure for their children. You will certainly hear more Southern accents in more rural parts, which has not experienced the migration boom. And that's 100% true. You go in the outskirts, where I'm at, further out, you still see the Southern hospitality. You go into the big cities, you don't see that anywhere. It's there's a lot of here in Raleigh, it's more Massachusetts, so they call them a word, Massachusetts, and holes, and it's they come down from Raleigh, they go into Raleigh. Now here it's mostly a big Hispanic population is going to Charlotte, Indian population, big time. It's the banking capital of the world, apparently, and so everyone's moves into this area. So you go into Charlotte, it ain't the Southern Hospital, it ain't the Queen City like they used to be. It's you have to go to the outskirts to really see Dixie. South Africa looks like Siberia overnight. A violent hailstorm slammed Pretoria North and nearby areas, piling ice so deep it sculpted snow channels through entire neighborhoods. By the way, it's summer in South Africa right now, which hail doesn't mean anything to do with summer. I mean, I was in Denver, that thing hailed all the time. People would walk in the hailstorms. It's like, walk, it's singing in the rain, and ice is falling out of the sky. I was driving Uber with them going, am I seeing this right? It's hailing on the car. I'm hoping that the glass isn't broken. I see people just walking around and going, bang, knocking off their heads. Ice is banging off their heads. It's amazing. This man literally lit up his entire house with more than 20,000 Christmas decorations and lights. So if you live across the neighborhood, you can read at 10 o'clock at night. Good. You can put your sunshades on. That is a lot of work. This day in history, the Monroe Doctrine, 1823. The Monroe Doctrine was declared the U.S. would not interfere with European affairs, but that its sphere of interest included the entire Western Hemisphere, was enunciated by President James Monroe this day in 1823. 2014, Canadian ice hockey player John Benevilu died at 83. 2001, following revelations of massive account fraud, Enron filed for bankruptcy protection. The energy trading company was once the 7th largest corporation in these United States. 1993, Colombian criminal Pablo Escobar, who, as head of the Medellin cartel, was probably the world's most powerful drug trafficker in the 1980s and early 90s, was killed during a shootout with authorities. 1983, the groundbreaking music video for Michael Jackson's song Thriller, held on MTV, back when they played music on video. 1982, William DeVry implanted the first permanent artificial heart in Barney Clark. Let's see, 1981, Britney Spears was born. I don't know how that made the list. 1971, the UAE was formed by the union of 6 small emirates on the Arabian Peninsula. The 7th emirate joined in February 1972. 1954, the U.S. Senate voted to censure Joseph McCarthy for his conduct in the investigation of communism in the United States. 1942, scientists led by Enrico Fermi conducted the world's first controlled self-sustaining nuclear chain reaction at the University of Chicago. 1884, American monologist and melodramatist Ruth Draper was born in New York City. New York City. Yeah, New York City. During Mandini days. 1859, abolitionist John Brown was hanged following a raid on Harper's Ferry, Virginia. That scumbag of the Yankee. Well, I'll get into that a different day. He was not a good dude. He was definitely not a Southern guy. 1804, Napoleon crowned himself Emperor of France in the presence of Pope Pius VII. Is it tomorrow yet? 11:26. We finished. Okay. Have a great rest of the night, guys. I'll see you tomorrow for Hump Day. Good night, everybody, and Mark. Anyway, take care, guys. Check out sensitivefidelium.tv for the app, and thanks for checking out for tonight. God bless.